Well, I'm your host, OG Chris Murray. We'll be giving you my DML Week 1 top picks. Now, the Dynasty Man League is kicking off Season 1. There's a couple things that have been changed around as far as Season 1 and how much weight that Season 1 holds. Now, Season 1 is labeled the season, meaning it comes down to nothing but pure stick skills. There are no excuses in play for users to say why they did not host a banner at the end of the first season, because this is the team that you chose off the gate. Whether you want to put in the air that this team is not ready to compete or not, this season comes down to nothing but pure stick skills. Now, with that being said, let's dive into these picks. Right off the gate, we got Nasty Newt and the Atlanta Falcons versus Matty Ice and the Philadelphia Eagles. These are two users who changed their scenery of teams with, Nasty Newt heading back home to Atlanta and Matty Ice heading back home to Philadelphia. Now, with that being said, last year, Nasty Newt landed in Minnesota. That team, for some odd reason, could not get the motor going, and it just was a struggling cycle for those Minnesota Vikings. Now, with things being said, he moved his talent and GM talent over to Atlanta with a team that, in my opinion, is stacked on both the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Now, with that being said, this game, in my opinion, has adjusted some things on the defensive side of the ball that I think that favors Nasty Newt and those Atlanta Falcons, with certain coverages working a little bit different on the defensive side of the ball. With that being said, man coverage. But I don't think that Atlanta has enough talent on the offensive side of the ball outside of Julio Jones, Freeman, and Matt Ryan to put up with the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Now, they have the talent on the defensive side, don't get me wrong. Atlanta is stacked on their defense. I love their secondary. I love their middle linebacker core. I love their front four. But offensively, I don't see nothing outside of Julio Jones and Coleman and Freeman. That's it. That's all I see. Now, Matty Ice is a user that knows how to win, knows how to come out with a game plan and execute it. His game plan thoroughly. With that being said, my pick for this game would have to be the Philadelphia Eagles doing what they did in real life and spanking these Atlanta Falcons, with Matty Ice coming out with the W in Week 1. Moving on. Next up, we have Skill Trade and the Buffalo Bills versus HP 30 and those Baltimore Ravens. Skill Trade, all blessings to you, because you have chosen the DML cursed team with those Buffalo Bills. This is the team that cycle after cycle has proven that it's some type of curse or some type of dark cloud out there in Buffalo. This is the team that has some young pieces that I like the moves that they made this offseason. It has some young solid pieces that you can build around. But for some odd reason, that dark cloud or that curse is out there in Buffalo. So I don't see Buffalo from previous cycles doing anything. Now, they have some cap, they have some money, and this is the new cycle. So I'm interested to see what Skill Trade is going to do with those Buffalo Bills. But it's just a dark cloud over there. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what's going on there in Buffalo. I don't know, because there's nothing in Buffalo, but I don't know what it is, man. It's just crazy. Now, moving on. We got HP30 and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, all offseason, all we heard was Action Jackson is going to do this. Action Jackson is going to put up 4,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards, 50 touchdowns. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Now, outside of Lamar Jackson, there's nothing that's even scratching the surface that's directing my attention talent-wise out there in Baltimore besides Action Jackson. That's it. Now, I know how HB likes to play. He's a great GM, in my opinion. last cycle with that Washington Redskins team, by far was the best team in the DML on paper. Now, there were some allegations why Washington moved on from him. They should at least had two banners last cycle. But there's some allegations that HB30 was shaving points. So the Washington Redskins decided to move on. But this is a change of scenery. You know, the allegations have not the allegation that has been posted against them has not been proven yet. But stop gambling, man. But I also have my pick for this game is easy. I think Ashton Jackson, this is an easy W for him. I think he's going to come out and perform well against the Buffalo Bills. Next up, we have Expert in the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Pablo and the New York Giants. Now, this is the team that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming out, taking the W easily because of that monster defense that Jacksonville has. But this is a game that I'm telling you right now is going to be way tougher than what a lot of guys think. This New York Giants team is not a pushover team. This team is equally matched to the Jacksonville Jaguars on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively. In my opinion, they have more explosive offensiveness on the offensive side of the ball than Jacksonville does. Now, this game is going to come down to how can Pablo figure out how to penetrate that Jacksonville Jaguars defense, because this is going to be a team. I watched Expert play this offseason, practice this offseason with those Jaguars, and this is going to be a defense all year long that is going to make you make mistakes. Now, with that being said, is Eli the question? Is Eli the answer out there in New York come week one? Will he be able to lead his team to victory? I'm going to have to say this is going to be my first upset pick of week one. I think that Pablo and the Giants take the W over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Next up, we have T-Pain and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus 85 and the New Orleans Saints. Now, T-Pain had the Indianapolis Colts last year, which was to me, not a bottom tier, but it was a mixture team last year. He had some impressive W's. He showed that he was able to draft pieces, put guys in certain spots to get top production from them. But this season, you're going to have to depend on your stick skills. And in this matchup, I think 85 clearly has him with the stick skills. So this is an easy pick. This is a no-brainer. The New Orleans Saints will get an easy W week one. The first division loss for T-Pain, which will put him behind the pack. Next up, we have SJ and the Houston Texans versus Snags, the veteran, and those New England Patriots. Now, SJ, change the scenery for him. We all know SJ wide receivers are 5'9" and below. As simple as that. The speedy midgets. So, this is the change of scenery for him. He has some 6'1" guys, a couple 6 feet guys out there in Houston. He has a running quarterback now. So, I'm interested to see how he's going to adjust his game to this Houston Texans team. Now, switch onto another note. Snags has not played Madden since, I believe, Madden 16. Now, he also broke the game August 31st, which means he only had about 2 weeks to pretty much, lab. So are we going to get, my opinion is, are we going to get the old Snags or are we going to get the old Sags? Meaning pure rust, just a guy that's going to pretty much be here just to get the brains beat out of him. But this game, to me, is a lot more easier to pick than what some users probably think. And I'm going to take SJ, man. Those Houston Texans coming out with the W against the New England Patriots. Next up, we have Sweets 99 versus Hamilton 49ers versus the Vikings. Now, the 49ers, to me, is going to be a team that is going to require patience. But in their division, I don't see no competition to dethrone them of their division this first cycle. The Minnesota Vikings, pretty much, in my opinion, is going to repeat the same cycle that they had last year, being a bottom tier team, unless Hamilton can figure out somehow to flip that switch on, because last cycle was just horrible. Now, he was in Buffalo. As I stated before, Buffalo is that team that has that curse. But this is the season, man. And it comes down to nothing but pure stick skills. And in this matchup, I don't think Hamilton matches up with Sweet's 9-9 stick skills at all. I'm taking Sweets and those 49ers over the Minnesota Vikings in week 1, coming out with the W. Next up, we have Darkness and the Tennessee Titans versus Tight Work and the Miami Dolphins. Now, this is going to be an interesting game because I seen the Miami Dolphins roster, and the offensive side of the ball, there's no explosive talent, meaning there's nobody, in my opinion, that can take over the game. Now, Tyreek has proven that he can win with this same roster, pretty much eliminating 2 other players, can win back-to-back banners. So, like I stated before, this is the season where it's going to come down to stick skills. Now, the Tennessee Titans team overall is better than the Dolphins. Now, Darkness, listen to what I'm telling you. This gives you an advantage. Your team is overall better than the Miami Dolphins. Now, if you can figure out somehow, some way to get top production out of your guys and not make mistakes, you might come out this week with the W. But this is the season to come down to stick skills. And I don't think that Darkness stick skills matches up with Tight Work. And I'm going to have to take the Miami Dolphins over the Tennessee Titans coming out of week 1 with the W. Next up, we have the Big Homie and the Cincinnati Bengals versus El Blago, El Clavo, El Chavo, and those Indianapolis Colts. Now, with that being said, you're a rookie, so your name will not get announced properly on this show or any show that I'm on until you prove yourself in the dynasty as that guy that's going to come and stamp his name on the dynasty. Until then, your name will be El Glabo, El Chago, El Guapo. Now, this game right here is going to be very interesting because you have 2 teams whose defense is pretty much shitty. Both defenses are shitty. I'm going to keep just being flat out honest. Both defenses are shitty. This is going to be a pure offensive game. Now, with that being said, I'm expecting a lot of turnovers this game because I'm expecting both users to take a lot of deep shots down the field, with the Bengals having John Ross, A.J. Green, Joe Mixon, with the Colts having T.Y. Hilton, T.Y. Hilton, and T.Y. Hilton. Other than that, this is pretty much going to be one of those games that, it's going to have low ratings. Probably 2 or 3 guys tune into it. But, this is a game that that shows no interest to me. But if I had to I got to make my pick. And my pick would have to be the Big Homie coming out of Indianapolis with the W over El Glabo. Next up, we have the dude that called himself King Flair or whatever, Ric Flair, King Flair, versus my Browns. This right here is going to be an interesting game right here. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a real interesting game. Last year, Flair pretty much was Flair and won, I believe, a total of probably 16 games out of 6 cycles, which is bad. But he said his focus was elsewhere. So I guess this is the cycle where his focus is going to be back on his team. I guess when you're an owner of a team, you really don't, an owner slash GM of a team, you really don't care about pretty much what your team does. Who cares if your team trade away its first round draft pick every year? Who cares if your team trade away all the talent on his roster? But it is what it is. Change of scenery. He's now win. Pittsburgh, who has a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball with Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Big Ben with the agent ticking clock. We have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. So this is a team, that's going to challenge my Cleveland Browns right off the gate. But out there in Cleveland, the dog pound, we ready to fight. And I'm never going to pick against myself, so I'm going to take my Cleveland Browns over Flair and those Pittsburgh Steelers coming out of week 1 with the W. Next up, we have KP versus Eddie Forrest. And this right here, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a must-watch game week 1. This game is going to be flat out explosive. I'm telling you right now. This game, in my opinion, is the most balanced game we have in week 1, with both users matching up roster-wise, offensively and defensively. Both users matching up with talent on both sides of the ball. Both users matching up on stick skills. This is the most balanced game of week 1. And flat out the gate, this is a division battle. So I'm pretty sure both users are going to want to come out and stamp this as a W. I'm telling you, you're going to want to tune in. You're going to want to tune in with this game because it's going to be a good game right here. Now, my pick in this game would have to be the Chargers. Now, the reason why I'm taking the Chargers is because there's one thing that the Chiefs lack, and I think it's going to be a weakness for them all season, what they're going to struggle with. Their secondary. Their secondary, besides Eric Berry, has a lot of holes in it. They don't have, in my opinion, no quarterbacks that can match up with a wide receiver core like the Chargers. Now, with that being said, KP is a user that has proven many times that he can win with any type of roster that you put out in front of him. So this is going to be an interesting game. But my pick will have to be with Eddie Forrest taking those LA Chargers with the W over the Kansas City Chiefs. Next up, we have what I call the rebuild game. Because both teams are pretty much in their rebuilding stages. You have Houdini with the Seattle Seahawks versus JB and those Denver Broncos. Now, these are two teams that I just mentioned are in the rebuilding stage. But these two teams are going to come out each week, no matter who's on their schedule, and compete against them. Now, I think that the Broncos, my meter is going to tip towards, and with JB and the Broncos, with them having more talent on the offensive side of the ball and more talent on the defensive side of the ball. Now, there's some questioning out there in Seattle. Are they going to become the Legion of Boom or the Legion of Doo-Doo? Because last cycle, those Cleveland Browns that Houdini had was flat out pure doo-doo. Now, with that being said, Houdini might have thought that the game was going to be a certain way, and that's why he chose the Cleveland Browns. But then once the patches started dropping and, things started changing, the game sort of did a curveball on a 360 on him. Now, that's not an excuse this season, because this is the season where it comes down to stick skills. Now, with this game, I'm excited to watch this game because I want to see the Griffin brothers, see how they perform. Also want to see how Chubb and Von Miller play together. So this is an exciting game that I think a lot of people are going to tune into because it's going to show some spark of excitement. But if I had to make a pick, my pick would have to be the Denver Broncos and JB taking the W in week 1 over the Seahawks. Next up, we have HBO and the Dallas Cowboys versus C-Rob and the Carolina Panthers. Now, one question I had to ask you, HBO. Why did you run from Oakland all the way to Dallas? Like, why? there's some information come down the pipeline about KP, about Tone, about Eddie Forrest joining that division. Like, how did you end up? Like, I'm confused, man. Like, I'm really am. So just clear the air, let us know what's going on, because it was Oakland, but you ended up in Dallas. But, this Dallas team is okay. Like Jalen Ramsey would say, this team is okay. Besides Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, I don't see in the offensive line, I don't see nothing, that is like, woo, Dallas, But the guy that's called a million people a bum, I'm going to be a bum. Everybody else in the league is going to be a bum. I'm interested to see what he do with the team, but I don't think that he's going to be able to outperform C-Rob and the Panthers. So this week, the Cowboys going to take an L with C-Rob coming out of week 1 with the W. Next up, we have the Washington Redskins, the underrated, versus Guwap and those Arizona Cardinals. Okay, the Redskins was a total different team where they were from last year to this year. This is going to be a team that I think is going to require some patience. I don't think this team right now is at the point where it can compete with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants. Now, with that being said, underrated is going to prove that, he can come out and compete. And I'm expecting him to do that. But I don't think that this is a team that right now is at the level to compete. But, prove me wrong. And I think Guwap and those Cardinals is going to come out of week 1 with the W. Next up, we have KP and the Chicago Bears. My fault. Scratch that. The Bus and the Chicago Bears versus Mo Booker and the Green Bay Packers. I call this the OG game, It's going to be a game that a lot of people think that the Bus is going to pretty much come out and drive that bus right down the yellow brick road. But I think Mo Booker, man, is going to put up a little nice fight to where so that he might be in this game come the fourth quarter. But I have the Bus pulling away with the W week 1, giving the Green Bay Packers their first divisional loss and putting them behind the pack. Next up, we have the game of the week. The DML game of the week, man. You have to tune in. We got live broadcasting with expert hosting the game. We got Snags hosting the game. We got a couple VIP guests coming through. I heard that we got, LeBron James stopping pass. We got everybody gonna be there. This is a must-watch game. Tune in. Make sure you're there. The game, the time of the game, what time it's gonna be kicking off is gonna be dropped, and the non-chat is gonna be dropped on the Twitter. It's gonna be blown up everywhere. This is a must-watch game. Make sure that you tune in. Okay, we got Ness and the New York Jets. Ness returning to the DML. We have Ness returning to the DML. I heard he took some time off to pursue his hosting career. He was hosting a couple shows and stuff like that. But I heard he called his agent up and told his agent that he got a little bit left in the tank and do whatever he got to do to get him back in the DML. So he's back. Now, he got a team out there in New York that besides the limelight, it's a lot of partying going on, so I think that, this is going to be a game where as though all right, we got the Los Angeles Rams versus